I had a thought, but I'm not certain that people will understand the thought. And even more so, I don't know if this is a thought that ought to be understood. That is to say, I don't know if this makes any sense to anybody, for any reason, for any purpose, that is meaningless even in the eyes of God. Okay? Talking about something completely, well, worth taking a grain of salt with. That's the trouble with these kinds of discussions, is that you always find someone who believes what you're saying or believes that he understands what you're saying when the thing that he thinks he understands ought not be understood at all, simply because it's ridiculous. That being said, you're all adults. Deal with it. I finished The Alchemist at my sort of snail's pace, and this is the second or third take of this video. I think finally I have my thoughts in order. My overall reaction to the book is basically that though I chime strongly with some of its major themes, I don't chime with all of them. And in that sort of dissonance, my own ideas were ushered forth, and that's what I want to share with you. You know, there are an intellectual culture or quasi-intellectual culture. This is a very quaint discussion that people can have about wisdom and knowledge. One version that I've heard is that knowledge is to know something, while wisdom is to apply something. Well, whatever. Pretty worthless, even to a philosopher. It's, you know, but okay, great. Rather, I would propose actually that these two are in competition with one another. We don't have to call it knowledge, we don't have to call it wisdom, but I'm using these words and I want to show you why. See, knowledge itself, like I've said before, is linguistic, necessarily so, even if it's mathematical knowledge. Knowledge itself is a representation, a linguistic representation of something in reality, something physical. Something in reality, I'll adjust that. Something in reality. And just like if I was to say, I know about B-52 bombers, in my mind it would be the equivalent of having a B-52 bomber plastic bottle hanging from my ceiling in the bedroom of my mind or something like that. But in that, we discover a very fundamental limitation of knowledge itself. So long as we find that knowledge is bound to language, and so long as language is merely a system of representation, then knowledge will always be reality once removed. Do you see that? Wisdom is something else. Like I said, we could call it anything you want. But is there no value in recognizing the limitation of knowledge? To know the limitation of knowledge. This sort of meta perspective of knowledge itself. You see, the thought that perhaps no one has any business trying to understand is this: that we have the ability to be submersed in our own theorizing, in our own terms of knowledge. The problem with this is that in our theorizing, in our world of knowledge, we hold all of the keys to all the premises that are necessary for any theory to emerge, any knowledge to be present. Okay? I'm using those words interchangeably here. Theorizing and knowledge. The difficulty with that is that because we hold all the keys, we are playing God with a system of representation. Indeed, just like we could build a model of things that do not actually represent reality, so too can we build theoretical systems that don't represent reality. Would it not then be healthy to appreciate something that escaped knowledge itself? Would it not be healthy to have an appreciation for something that superseded knowledge? Even if it could not be known, obviously. There would be something else there to keep the person grounded. If we are to call that wisdom, then I would propose to you that wisdom is a kind of awareness. It's a kind of observation. For my atheist friends out here, it would be the perfect objective eye observation of whatever. For my more theological leaning friends, this would be awareness, consciousness, sort of thing. An unassuming, unbiased looking. You see, we can so easily fall into the trap of forgetting that knowledge is to represent reality. We get caught up in the fact that we can glue different pieces to wherever we want, just so it pleases us. It's like waking up one morning, stumbling into the bathroom, turning on the lights, and realizing that the lights that you had installed are those really bright, white, fluorescent type of light that makes your face look very pasty, and it shows all the little nicks and knacks and scars and pimples and zits and all the gross stuff about your face in the mirror. You say, I don't like that at all. So you change the lights for a softer yellow, so then when you go in the morning you don't see that. But all of that is still present. The mind is a powerful tool, but it's very seductive to get lost in it. I think atheist and theist alike can benefit from a regular practice of merely sitting and thinking nothing, yet being very active in their observation of reality, whether it's forms in the mind or forms in physical reality or what have you. But though nothing from this could be known, this is the part where it all falls apart. Nothing can be known, it can still be participated in. It can still be communed with without being known. And in that, in my experience anyway, you achieve a sense of knowing that is not timeless like knowledge is, like a formula, like a theory. It is transient knowledge. It is so real and so alive, and in the moment it is a communion. It is as if you know your body without theorizing about it, and in the moment that you are genuinely aware of something, it's like you are part of it. Part of it because you have an appreciation for it that needs not knowledge, does not need a model. And yet, because it is not a model, it is transient. And it fades from moment to moment. And if you try to formalize it, if you try to theorize it, you then resubmerge yourself into the world of knowledge. And with practice, you can feel that. What I'm proposing to you is that wisdom is not knowledge, but a kind of communion.